Okay, hi, good morning everyone. In a minute, I am going to be speaking to a good friend of mine, Stu. So hopefully he is here, waiting in the room. Hey, hi Stu.
Hiya, how you doing?
Never so dark.
Emma, let me see if I can make it a bit brighter.
It's a bit brighter for us so we can see. We're recording straight away as well.
Okay.
I'm on record. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
That's a bit brighter. I can see
Is that
you
better?
now.
Or shall I pull them? Is that
Oh,
any different?
yeah, that's even better. Yeah. So,
Well,
what have you been up to?
uh, not a lot. Mainly scribbling and talking to potential clients, etc.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, NLP stuff. Been doing
What's NLP, Stu? Just
NLP
a
is neuro-linguistic programming.
let me just.
Basically, it's a way to understand how the mind works. There are a collection of tools and strategies to help me understand how somebody thinks, and if they have, say, a bad habit they want to change, or a negative thought that keeps recurring, like I'm not good enough, or those kind of things. I can ask questions in a specific way and find out what they do to create the belief, and then I can use other tools that I'm trained in NLP to shift that belief and replace it with something better.
Oh,
So things like hypnosis as well is one of the tools that I use.
okay. So, how long have you been an NLP practitioner? Is this something that you've been doing sort of like for a long time, or is it just during the lockdown? Has that, the lockdown affected you in a different way? Tell me more about that.
Well, I first became a practitioner in 2010 when I trained with the leaders of NLP, so Paul McKenna
Oh, wow.
and Richard Bandler, who actually is one of the co-creators of the whole system, and a guy called Michael Neal, who you may have heard of. He's known as the Super Coach. His book is The Super Coach.
No.
He was one of the trainers there as well. So that was back in 2010. I've been using the techniques to help me overcome my own limiting beliefs and thought patterns. And I've done some more training. So I did some refresher training last year, then took the next level, which is master practitioner, at the end of last year, and a coaching course as well. So I've been trying to get my business get clients into my business since sort of early January.
Yeah.
And just before lockdown happened, I started to get some interest from one-to-one clients at a clinic nearby.
Yeah.
And then lockdown happened and that all went away.
Oh, so it's affected you then, the lockdown.
So it has, in that respect. It set me back a little bit. But what I've been doing through lockdown is getting more things out on social media, doing little videos and techniques to help people relieve stress, anxiety, and help them change their mood throughout the day.
Yeah.
So
Have
that's
you been able to do sort of like online training, like we're speaking on Zoom now. So have you added that into your practice as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So Obviously, we can't do the one-to-one in person, so I've now added, as you say, added in the facility to do the workshops and do the consultations online.
And is that as effective, or is it better off on a one-to-one basis?
It is just as effective. I prefer myself to be with the person. There are some techniques that you can't do over video.
Yeah.
You have to do them in a different way.
Tell me more about them. That sounds interesting.
Well, there are techniques to anchor new beliefs. So if you are driving along in your car and a particular song comes on the radio from your past, you get that flashback to what you were doing and what was going on in your life at the time that song was popular.
Yeah.
And that's called an anchor, an audio anchor. So you hear a sound and your mind automatically goes into a thought about that.
Yeah.
There are anchors which require tapping, so you can tap on somebody's knee, on the shoulder, or on their arm, which are kinesthetic anchors, which means touch, basically. So I can't do that on a video.
So what, by touching somebody, what would that achieve? What would they get, or what would you get from that? What would you be trying to do?
So it's about changing. Usually what happens when people get stressed or anxious is they start thinking in a particular way, and something usually triggers that pattern of thought.
Okay.
And that, whatever that is an anchor. So what we do is find a new thought that is more useful and replace the old anchor with a new anchor and the new thought, so that when they start to think about the old event or memory, instead of the whole anxiety process kicking in, a new trigger fires and a new process of thought happens, and instead of feeling the anxiety, they feel happy or excited or whatever it is they decided they want to feel instead. So that's triggered from that anchor. But when we first set that up, the way that the mind processes the information is not all visual, not all audible, and not all kinesthetic.
I say it with them.
Yes. We can have olfactory triggers as well. So we can smell something and we'll think, oh, that's just like mum's cooking. Or you walk into the supermarket and there's bread, the smell of bread, and it makes you hungry. So there's different senses involved in the memory.
Yeah.
So when we install a new anchor, we need to involve 2 or 3 different senses in that process at the same time.
And does it work?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Have you had good results off people? Because I know at the moment, obviously with the lockdown, which is why we're doing this, really, is it's affecting people in so many different ways. So I mean, things have eased up at the moment where we are allowed to go out a little bit more and, you know, socialise with other people. But let's say, for instance, myself, I was, when was it? Friday. Oh, I just wanted to go to the pub. And not to drink. I mean, I can have a drink anytime at home. It was just to be with other people, just missing that contact. So is it an effective practice? Have you had good
Absolutely. It's not just about things like stress or anxiety. I had, when I practiced previously, several years ago, I had a guy came in who he wanted to stop his profuse sweating. A bit like the ads on TV where somebody lifts their arm up and water squirts from under their arm. Well, he literally was like that.
Oh, crikey.
Something would trigger in his day, and he'd just be soaked within seconds. He'd be wet through, and he tried medication. He tried other things, and he came to me quite desperate, and it transpired that he'd been involved in a fairly serious traffic accident. And when we sort of investigated what was going on, it all stemmed from the point this accident happened.
Oh, wow.
So by disassociating all the memories that he had that at that point in time caused the absolute panic and adrenaline rush and the sweating, disconnect all that and put new responses in place, his sweating stopped like that.
Just like that?
No, it never happened again. Obviously, sweating's a useful thing, and there's a reason we do it. So we put boundaries in place so that he can still sweat when it's necessary, but not excessively.
Wow, I can't believe it. Just something.
Yeah.
And how many times would he have to come to you? Is it an instant thing, or is it an ongoing treatment? Or tell me more.
I think in total he came 3 times, and I think we spent probably between an hour and a half each time. The first time is me asking a lot of questions and understanding what's going on. So I'm asking questions, but I'm also watching, not just listening to what he says, but watching his responses. People tend to have set responses to certain questions. And things happen like the colour of the skin changes, people colour up, pupils can dilate, they do things like rub the nose or cover the mouth or start touching their ears or all sorts of things, and they can all those things play a role in what's going on. So in the first session, it's about me getting to understand all of the things that are going on that are part of the process that he doesn't want. Then the next session is kind of a bit of recapping and a bit of me telling him or repeating what he's told me so that he knows I understand. And if I've misinterpreted anything, he can tell me. And then we'll do some relaxation techniques to get him to the place where I can use language and use NLP techniques to help him adjust the way his thought recollection works. And there's a technique that's kind of like, your central heating thermostat, which used to be a dial, so that you can turn it up or you can turn it down. And if the heating's on full belt and everybody's too hot, you turn it down to where you're comfortable. And that's one of the techniques that we use to help those kind of responses, which are sort of excessive responses. So we just turn the thermostat down a bit and the response goes down with it.
That sounds really interesting. It's not something that I've heard of before, and I know you've told me about NLP. So how would you compare it to sort of like counselling? Because counselling's like speaking and, I mean, I've never been to see a guidance count or anything like that, but how would you compare, just so it's right in my brain?
Counselling is about listening to the client and asking questions, but where NLP differs from counselling is that counselling tends to focus on what happened and trying to understand it, whereas what I do is not so much about understanding what happened, it's about changing what happens next going forwards.
Right.
So counselling can take a long time because people don't open up naturally in a short space of time, whereas with what I do, I don't need to be asking them questions that they might not want to be sharing the answers to in the same way that counselling would. So counselling also doesn't have the toolbox of techniques that I can use to change or to help the person change, because I don't change anything. If the person doesn't want to change something, then they won't.
Yeah.
But if they're willing to have an open mind and give it a go, then the effects can be quite astounding. And it doesn't always take 3 sessions or more. Sometimes the change can happen in an hour. Wow.
So do people come to you, let me get this right, with a problem that they want to sort out? Does it take, here's a couple of questions, does it take a while to sort of get them to open up, or are they already coming to you with a problem? Or does it...
Generally speaking, they're coming to me because they know they've got a problem. And as I said with the other guy, they might have tried other things without success. So they come to me knowing they've got a problem, but what people tend to tell me is the problem isn't really the problem. There's usually a root cause, and then what they're telling me is the problem is the effect.
Yeah.
So there's a cause and an effect, and they come to me and tell me that they've got this problem, which is an effect of something else, usually.
Yeah. So when we're all open up again, when we're obviously let out, do you think you will go back to the place where you were working, open up again, or would you like work from home? Which works?
I think I'll do a bit of both. I'm quite enjoying working from home, but like yourself, it's nice to have the contact. So I will carry on with the clinic, but I'll also do online stuff from home.
Yeah, I know you've got a radio show that you have every Wednesday, S1 Radio.
I do.
Is that I've got that right? S1.
S41.
S41, that's it. S4 is a bit of a plug-in for you there, Stu. S41 Radio. Tell me more about that. Are you still doing it, or?
I'm still doing that every Wednesday lunchtime, 12 till 3. You can tune in by visiting the website, which is www.s41radio.com, and then click listen live. I've just been doing an interview with a local musician. I'll be playing some of his music in that interview on Wednesday. Somebody we both know.
Who's that?
Tom Walters from Parallel. the band
Oh,
Parallel.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So he's coming on the show on Wednesday to talk about his new EP. And then Saturday I was interviewing another artist who's a country music singer-songwriter. And that will be out as a special 1 hour show, which we call the Country Music Show with No Name.
Excellent, I like that. So I know we both know Kezia. Have you got Kezia coming on?
No, I've not spoken to Kezia. I know she's extremely busy and got lots happening. But yeah, I'd love to get Kezia to come and have a chat.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? She's so good. I've only recently sort of like seen her at our local club, and she's just absolutely magnificent artist. And going on to singing, I know you've been entertaining us with your singing on the
Did
Facebook.
you really have to bring that up?
Of course I did. Tell me more about that.
Yes, I have. As you know, I got into singing, is it 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Having never sung in public before, and if I ever hummed along to a song, I was promptly told to shut the racket up. So it took a bit of courage to put myself out there singing. And when lockdown started, I've been in a choir for a couple of years, and that is such a great way to let go of tension and anxiety and stress. It's a great social thing. So it's got lots of benefits, and singing actually raises your energy level as well. So there's so many benefits to singing. And when we got into lockdown, I couldn't go to choir, and I really missed that. So I thought, I'm just going to do some songs and put them online, just for a bit of self-entertainment, really. And I started getting lots of likes and lots of comments.
Lots of requests.
Requests to do more. So I thought, well, I'll put this into a little group, and that's steadily grown into about 40 or 50 people who are there every weekend waiting to see what song's going to come up. I never intended it to be... Sorry?
What songs do you pick? Do you pick anything, or ones you know, or is it karaoke? How do you do it? How do you set yourself up?
I do it karaoke. So I'm terrible at remembering the words. Without the words, it's not a song. So I do it karaoke, and I just pick songs that I've heard that I like, songs that I know are easier because you know the timings and when to come in and everything else. If I don't know it ever so well, then I'll do it, practice it, rehearse it. So yeah, it's good fun. But I've just been doing some Erasure, Wet, 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 bit of Elvis.
So is that generally
all sorts of things.
The weekend, or is it sort of like, what days do you do that?
No, I put the songs into the group Saturday morning and Sunday morning, and if it's not there by about 10:30, I'm getting questions as to, where are you, Stu? What's coming up today? What are you singing for us today?
That's a great confidence boost, isn't it?
It's lovely, yeah. It's lovely.
That's really, really good. That's a really good way of not just entertaining yourself and, like you say, getting the endorphin levels up there. It's a great way of entertaining other people that can't get out, you know. And I'm sure people, like you say, look forward to, you know, your songs for the weekend.
Well, they seem to.
Brilliant. What about the choir? Have you been practicing online with the choir? How's that work?
No, I've not been able to do anything with the choir online, mainly because it's kind of a bit late of an evening, and me singing in the house later at night. I tend to do the singing during the day when I'm not disturbing neighbours and other people in the house.
Yeah.
So it's not really been easy to do of an evening.
Yeah. Do you know, have they give you any idea when that will all, start again?
No, not at the moment. Hopefully, we practice at the university in Derby, so hopefully they will be getting back fairly soon, if not before the end of this term, although I guess it is the end of this term really,
Yeah.
for university. So maybe it'll be September.
Yeah.
When we get that. Fingers crossed. Can't wait.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, life's starting to change again, isn't it? Hopefully. I know we've got people going out there with all the riots and stuff at the moment. So it's not very good. No social distancing there at the minute. So just hope that, it all peaks off and it all dies down and all goes so we can get back to normal as soon as possible. Anyway, it's been great speaking to you, Stu.
And you, Caroline.
I was going to say Roy then.
Yeah.
It's been lovely catching up with you. Thank you for sharing what I found really, really interesting. Really interesting. I know a little bit about NLP, but I've not dug deep down into what it is and how it can solve problems, really. So if you have got any problems, this is the guy to see. Come and see my friend Stu. Anyway, thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now. See you soon.